right, so today's topic is establishing your apartment syndication brand for success. So this is something that's very important in my role. We have a lot of businesses within passiveinvesting.com. We have a lot of sub brands that I have to manage as well. So having a unique brand for those businesses, including passiveinvesting.com, is super important. So I'll just say, for those of you who are just joining, my name is Melissa Broom. I'm the director of marketing for passiveinvesting.com. I handle everything from marketing, advertising, brand management, events, PR, you name it. So so we can dive right in. So what does it mean to have a brand? So I know this might seem obvious to some of you, and some of you, you're like, I don't know what that means. What does it mean? So your brand is basically your identity. So, my name's Melissa Broom. That's it. My personal brand is my name. So I'm Melissa Broom. That's my name. So your brand is basically your company and who you identify as. So Multifamily Investor Nation, that's our education platform. That's our brand. We're recognizable. People know who we are. People trust us. So a big part of that, what does it mean to have a brand? It's trust. Really knowing that the person that who you're learning from, or who you're investing with, or who you're partnering with, that they are legitimate. A lot of times, what does it mean to have a brand also can be the LLC that you establish. A lot of people use that LLC name, and we can get into building a brand in just a minute, but so it's important. And 1 second. So then we can get into why is it important to have a brand. So it's important to understand who your avatar is, who your customer is, and then you can go kind of build that brand off of who your potential audience is. Real quick. So as we get into discussing your avatar or the demographic that your customer is, I want you to get in the chat box and tell me who your ideal customer is in your business today. So jump into that chat box. Let me know who your ideal customer is in your business today. I'll give everyone just a second to do that. I want this to be interactive. So this helps cater, because I want to make sure that what the information I'm giving you is valuable to you. So someone says an investor with the same goals as me, finance professionals and doctors, busy professionals looking to invest funds in multifamily, investors with funds. Great. So a lot of you have a good handle on, who your avatar is. So what you would do is you want to build your brand around that avatar. So understanding that, if your customer is doctors, if that's your ideal, target audience, you want to make sure that your brand is appealing to doctors. Limited partners that are relatively younger than traditional investors. Yeah. So if you're trying to reach a younger audience, that might look a little bit different than if you're trying to reach a more broad audience that may encompass a larger demographic. So really, the first question you have to ask yourself is, who am I trying to reach here? And then from there, you'll build your brand around that person, around that. And part of that is knowing what your avatar likes and dislikes. So sometimes we forget that finding those pain points of our potential avatar is a huge selling point. Are you a doctor who's still working, seeing patients all day, every day? Are you ready to scale back? Do you need to, establish more passive income so you can scale back? So finding, do you want to spend more time with your family? So finding those pain points can be a great way to reach and to relate to people if you're trying to, have them invest or attend your event or wherever it may be. And the more you speak to a specific audience, the more you're going to be able to penetrate that audience. So, staying consistent and being able to really focus in on doctors, for example, you begin to build a reputation that supports, who you are and build that trust. So the beginning steps to build your brand. So the first thing you need is a name, obviously. So like I said, my name's Melissa Broom. So that's the name. And then if I wanted to go a step further and brand myself and make, do the next steps, but really picking your name, it's super important. And you want to make sure that you think carefully about the name. So the first thing I'll say is if you pick a name, do a thorough Google search on that name, because there's times where things can be, you might be up against a extremely successful apartment syndication group who's got the same name. You don't want to be confused. You want to make sure that you don't pick a name that somebody has already chosen. Another tip, I don't recommend using your last name as your name of your company. So like Broom Capital, I don't recommend doing that, just because once you scale to a larger, as you scale, it's going to be difficult to build and have other people represent your company. So you want to make sure that your name is something that can scale. And then from there, once you have your name and you make sure that it's, it's unique and it's something that can scale with you, you want to come up with a logo and a brand package. So there's a ton of great resources out there for logo creation. I use Upwork frequently for odds and ends jobs. I've used Design Pickle before. If you Google logo creation, there's a ton of different. 99 Designs is another one I've used. But you want to make sure that you create a logo and it's something that you can so I've seen this before. I've seen other syndicators go and create a logo in PowerPoint or in Word, and it's not a usable logo. So there's certain file formats that you're going to need to have to use the logo, a PNG, a JPEG, a PDF, and an EPS. So there's all types of file types. You want to make sure that if you go on like a 99 Designs, or someone says they use Fiverr, that's another great one. You'll get all of those file types to use in your business. So just be sure that you when you create that logo, you're able to actually use the logo. Another thing is a brand card or a brand package. So I was going to share the passiveinvesting.com brand card. So basically this is just a quick way for me to send a vendor or even to somebody on my team, if we've got new hires, somebody on the team, hey, like this is our font, this is our colors. Brand consistency is really important to be recognized. So if all of a sudden like passiveinvesting.com was in red or in like a black and a purple, people would question if it was actually passiveinvesting.com. So really make sure that you've got a brand identity. So there's a couple of different ways you can do it. This is a brand card. This is a simple way. I like these just because it's like one small graphic and there's no scrolling. You can also do a style guide. So this is Rehab Wallet. This is our hard money lending company that's a part of passiveinvesting.com. So the Rehab Wallet brand has a style guide. So we actually outsourced this logo a little bit differently than we did passiveinvesting.com. And this is what came with the logo. So it goes through standard logo, secondary logo, the icon, and then the brand colors and the fonts. So it's only 4 pages, but it's just a little more in depth than what I've got for passiveinvesting.com, just based off of need and what we do in-house versus not in-house. So you want to make sure that you have a brand identity along with that logo. That's key to success as well. So once you've created your logo and your brand identity, you want to have a website. Again, using those third-party services for a website, websites can get expensive. If you've ever gone shopping for a website, you'll find websites that cost anywhere from like $1,000 all the way up to $100,000. So you want to find, and it just depends on where you're at in your journey, as far as the size of your business at the time. There's some great opportunities on like Wix, WIX. That's a great one to build your own if you've got that kind of eye to build your own. Upwork is great. Fiverr, 99 Designs. You can get websites there as well. But it's important to have a website if you're going to have an apartment syndication business. Investors, if they're going to invest $100,000 with you, an online presence is extremely important. And, they want to make sure that you're legit and they're not, wiring their money to some strange person who doesn't have a brand, or an online presence. With that, I would say social media accounts are extremely important. You can use your brand to build those social media accounts. Be sure that you're using Facebook for what Facebook is, what Facebook is for, TikTok, what TikTok's for, Instagram, what TikTok's for. I'm not going to get into those, like what each social media site is used for, but be sure to do your research and make sure that you are using them properly. And you don't necessarily have to use all of them. If you want to focus all of your attention on LinkedIn or all of your attention on Facebook, LinkedIn is great. LinkedIn is a great place to start if you're just getting started. I would say over time, you want to start building out multiple platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, and whatnot. But just make sure that that also goes with that trust of a potential investor, going and finding you and doing their research. They're going to look for social media accounts to make sure that not only are you legit, but are you somebody that they relate to and they want to invest with. And then be sure that one other thing with social media, be sure that you're providing value. Once you get those accounts up and running, make sure that you're actually giving them something of value, and not just resharing quotes from, your favorite author. Be sure that you're actually giving them, knowledge. If it's sitting down and typing up a, paragraph and sharing your, the things that you learned that day, just provide value. It's super important. And it creates that trust. And then building your authority platform. So that also helps with, social media and your website, but make sure that you are working on you're building out, whether it be a blog or a video, like a YouTube channel. If you're if you like being on camera and you like talking on camera, make sure that you've got some videos with some education. If your target is doctors, get on YouTube and interview another doctor who's successfully been a passive investor. If your target audience is busy professionals, like interview a busy professional. You can do podcasts. Starting up, there's a lot of services out there that can help you get a podcast started. We use Podetize, we've used Podetize over the years. So there are a lot of different services out there. You don't have to do everything to start, but definitely if you like to write, start a blog. If you be sure that you have that presence. And so when a potential investor goes to find you, they can find you. It's super important. I meant to say this earlier, but if anybody has any questions, be sure to drop them in the chat box. As I said, I want this to be interactive. So if you've got anything that you want me to answer, happy to do so. Another way to build your authority platform is to host events. So you can do meetups like in your local community. You can do virtual events are another great way to get started. We use meetup.com and we have an in-person and a virtual aspect to that, as well as I mentioned earlier, our large event in June for MFI Incon. So we were building that authority platform through events as well. And so I think that's all I have for now. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer? It looks like one just came through. What would you say are the two top platforms to start with? So beyond your website, I would say LinkedIn is super important from a business perspective. If you're running any sort of business, not just in the apartment syndication space, I think having a presence on LinkedIn is important. And honestly, if you would have asked me about a year or two ago, I probably would have said Facebook would be my second. But Facebook is good for some things, but I think things have changed. I would say Instagram would be one, as well as YouTube. So maybe I'm gonna give you three, but I would say Instagram and YouTube would be the second behind LinkedIn. What other questions do we have today? All right. Alan's asking, what communication asset has given you the most reach? Podcast, newsletter, articles, etc. So I'll say what we do at passiveinvesting.com, we have a multimodal approach. So we do a ton of different things at the same time. As far as what the best, I would say we have a printed newsletter that goes out every month to our investors. That's been great, as well as our online blog. We've got YouTube. There isn't a best. There isn't a one that has given us the most. They all work together for us to find investors, because everybody, if you're looking at an audience of 10 people, all 10 people are going to have a way that they learn best. So some people are visual, some people are audio, some, they like podcasts or ebooks or audiobooks. So you want to make sure that you don't necessarily have to start with everything, but just start with what you're good at. So like I said, if you like to write, start a blog, start there, because then what you can do with the blog is you can take the blog, you can turn that into a video. You can sit there and record yourself using the content from the blog and create a video to create a YouTube channel, right? So start somewhere, start with what you're good at, and then you go from there. But I wouldn't say that there's one thing that's the best, because everybody learns differently. Okay. What functionality should you have on your website? Calendar, blog, investment platform. So your website should have a place for investors to fill out like a contact form. So like if they're interested in investing, you definitely want to make sure that there is somewhere for them to be able to reach you. Again, a blog is great because it's a form of education. But if it could be a video blog. It doesn't have to necessarily be a handwritten blog. You can have a video library of videos that are educational as well. And then just make sure that like you're telling enough about who you are. So that's going to be your about the team page. It'll be you, your partners. If you've got anybody working for you, have them on your page, as well as like your company values and what your company stands for, and what, do you invest in Class A? Do you invest in alternative asset classes? Like, what are you investing in? Make sure that that's a key part to your website as well. Larry is asking, for those of us who have multifamily as a second career, how do you recommend one brand themselves in this arena while our network of potential LPs knows us from that primary industry? In my case, I'm known as an ad tech sales exec and want to tap into that network as LP investors in multifamily deals. So yeah, you can, if it's a niche you want to stay with. So if you always want to only target ad tech sales executives, which is great, which is fine, then I would, that industry better than I do. I'm not in that industry. Do ad tech sales execs go to a lot of events? It sounds like something that they're used to traveling, they're used to being at events, so maybe you do a meetup and say, okay, we're going to not talk about what we always talk about on this Monday night meetup. Once a month, we're going to talk about investing. So knowing your audience, and if it's something personal to you, like your career, it should be fairly simple for you to say, okay, what am I doing? What do I always do? If you're dealing with a group of people who don't go to events very frequently, I wouldn't do events. That wouldn't be appealing to them. So really finding that, as far as branding, it would be the same, like finding what appeals to that audience. I think you should be able to answer that, especially in your field. What supplier do you recommend for building a list and classifying your contacts and talk to them according to their level, type of interest? What supplier? Are you talking about like a CRM? I think you're talking about a CRM and like where you would house your contacts. So there's a couple great ones. We use ActiveCampaign. HubSpot is another really good one. I would say those are probably the two. Go High Level is another new one that we've used on another side of the business. It's Go High Level. Those are all great. Most CRMs are going to offer you, I would set up a demo with them and ask questions. A lot of the people who work in sales for those CRMs can tell you, we'll be honest with you if what you're looking for can be accomplished in that program. All right. Is it confusing to have a presence on social platforms when you still have a separate career in a different industry that you promote as well? Struggling with promoting both things. Yeah, I mean, I can see that can definitely be a struggle, but you want to make sure that if you're using your, let's say, your W-2 job, and you're trying to reach those people, I would use it to benefit you. I wouldn't say that would be, I would try to use the, if you're in sales and you're trying to reach sales executives, share your story. Hey, this is how, as a sales executive, I've been able to generate X amount in passive income. Share your story, be relatable. Hey, I'm like you, and this is how I've done it. Do you want to talk about it? We're meeting every Monday at this local spot to discuss. So I think instead of looking at that as a challenge, I think that's awesome. If you've got something like that where you can be relatable, people love to feel comforted and related to. So that's all. I think I would run with it personally. What podcast resources can you recommend as far as publishing a podcast or just looking for podcasts? Maybe be more specific on what you're looking for there. And someone said, go Gamecocks. Yes, I'm a South Carolina Gamecock. So Alan, go Gamecocks. What KPIs do you track in marketing and branding? So a lot of what we're tracking is our investors. So, we track if we have an investor come through our system, we have them fill out how they found out about us. That's a really important question on your website. Don't forget that question. How did you hear about me? How did you hear about us? Definitely include that in your form. So that's the main thing that we're following is, what the answer to that question is. If it's podcast, if it's the newsletter, if it's a referral. You always want to make sure that you're tracking how people are hearing about you, because then you can take your money and spend it where it's working. There's things we've tried before that don't work and we haven't done them again. And we wouldn't have known that unless we tried it, but don't be afraid to try something. If you have a feeling that you think it might work, go for it. If you've never sponsored an event and try it. You can get a booth for fairly inexpensive. There's some great like Next Day Display. I use them all the time. They're quick, it's inexpensive. There's local vendors that offer booth supplies. So, try it. And then it's easy to track, if you get investors or not from that event, because they'll say, oh, I found this group at MFI Incon. Or you might not get any results, and then you'll know. So, definitely try things, and make sure that you're tracking it as well. So the question about what podcast resources can you recommend publishing and establishing? So we use Poditize, Poditize, P-O-D. I might have Talia, she's in the background, type that into the chat box, but Poditize. So I've been happy with them. There's probably other groups out there like it. There you go, Poditize. Again, it's one of those things where I would set up a demo with a group, share your goals with them and ask them if it can be accomplished. And obviously, do that with maybe 2, 3, 4 groups before you make a decision. So you can compare the price, what you're getting for the price. But Podetize is what we've always used. Unfortunately, I don't have another one I can recommend just because I've been happy with them and I haven't had to, stray away from them. But does anybody have any other questions before we wrap up for the day? I appreciate everybody's participation. If you have other questions that come up after the event, after the webinar, come see me at MFI NCon and you can talk to me there. So get your ticket to MFI NCon. I'll be there. We can chat. I love talking about marketing and branding. So feel free to pull me aside and we can chat or have coffee. If not, my email is melissa@passiveinvesting.com. Talia, if you'll drop that into the chat box for them as well. Happy to answer questions if anything comes up. I think we'll wrap up for the day. So like I said, head over to MFI NCon. I'll share it one more time. Get your ticket. If you're on live, use the promo code we shared. I won't say it again so it doesn't go to YouTube. But get your ticket. I will see you in June at the event. And thanks for joining us today.